Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Yasodanandana Raja Dhanaranjana Jaya Raja Dhanaranjana Yasodanandana Raja Dhanaranjana Jaya Raja Dhanaranjana Yasodanandana Raja Dhanaranjana Jaya Raja Dhanaranjana Yamunadiravarachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Yamunadiravarachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Yamunadiravarachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Kopidana Ballabha Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari. Kopidana Ballabha Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari. Yasodanandana Raja Dhanaranjana Jaya Raja Dhanaranjana. Yasodanandana Raja Dhanaranjana Jaya Raja Dhanaranjana. Yamuna Dhiravarachari Jaya Kunja Bihari. Yamuna Dhiravarachari Jaya Kunja Bihari. Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Pravedakacharya Asadhara Satushi Shriman His Divine Grace Shalasi Bhaktivedanta Swami Raj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Haribo Slava Zabrani Bhakta Slava Shri Guru Shri Gurangi Namo Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Prasthapute Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tenamane Namaste Saraswatunde Ve Gauravani Vicharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskatyade Siddharna Om Agyana Taminandasya Kananjana Salakaya Chaksur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sarvaitam Savadutam Pradana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakans Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanshena Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prashubhanu Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Dhruvyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranitananda Shadvaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 22, Bali Maharaj surrenders his life. Text number 8. Pitamaho me bhavadiya sammata parada avishkrita sadhu vadaha Bhavad vipakshena vichitra vaishasam samprapitas tvam paramak swapitra pitamaho me bhavadiya samata Parada avishkrita sadhu vadaha Bhavad vipakshena vichitra vaishasam Samprapitas tvam paramak swapitra Ladies. Bhavad vipakshena vichitra vaishasam Pitamaha, grandfather, me, my, bhavadiya samataha, approved by the devotees of your Lordship. Parada, Prahlad Maharaj, Aviskrita Sadhuvataha, famous, being celebrated everywhere as a devotee. Bhavat Vipakshena, simply going against you. Vichitra Samshasam, inventing different kinds of harassments. Sampraptaha, samprapitaha, suffered. Tvam, you. Paramaha, the supreme shelter. Swapitra, by his own father. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My grandfather Prahlad Maharaj is famous, being recognized by all your devotees. Although harassed in many ways by his father Hiranyakashipu, he still remained faithful, taking shelter at your lotus feet. Purport. A pure devotee like Prahlad Maharaj, although harassed circumstantially in many ways, never gave up the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to take shelter of anyone else. Pure devotee never complains against the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A vivid example is Prahlad Maharaj. Examining the life of Prahlad Maharaj, we can see how severely he was harassed by his own father, Hiranyakashipu. Yet he did not divert his attention from the Lord even to the smallest extent. Bali Maharaj, following in the footsteps of his grandfather, Prahlad Maharaj remained fixed in his devotion to the Lord, despite the Lord's having punished him. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswatam Deve Gauravani Vicharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskyatyate Satarne. There are two sides to this explanation. One is the detachment by realizing oneself to be Brahman or spiritual. And the other is the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness, being aware of Krishna. So Krishna explains both of them in Bhagavad Gita in detail. For instance, in the 5th chapter, Krishna says, Naiva kinchit karomiti yukta manyate tattvavit pashan srinvan sprishan jigran gachan swasan asan gachan shwasan, which comes first? Ashan gachan swapan, swapan, dreaming comes first. Shwasan. Vishrijan umishana pi indriyanriyarteshu vartante iti daryan. So naiva kinchit. So naiva, na eva, not at any time, certainly. Naiva kinchit karo, I am doing something. Miti, iti, thus. Yukta manyate. So one who's actually in contact in Krishna consciousness, one who's aware of Krishna consciousness, one who's aware of Krishna and sees everyone and everything in relation to Krishna, the advantage is naiva kinchit karomiti. At no time, one is thinking oneself to be the doer of something. So what's the advantage? Is that we don't have to worry about what's going on in the material world. Now, for those who are interested in having a happy time in the material world, there's plenty of things to worry about because it's quite a struggle. So those who have interest in the material world and making it a happy, enjoyable place, there's going to be quite a bit of problems going along with that. Namely, you get a material body, which is subjected to all kinds of problems like birth, old age, disease, and death. Now, no one came to the material world to experience old age, disease, and death, and then having to take birth again and do it all over again. No one came with that idea. Everyone came here to have pastimes of love and happiness and beauty and everything else. And yeah, there's something like that. Mostly imagination, but there's something like that. But we also get, along with that, old age, disease, death, and having to take birth again in some species of life. As I always said, there's Romeo and Juliet, but there's also Tarzan and Jane. And there's also Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. So it depends on which you're going to have. You can have a pastime as Mickey Mouse or some other kind of mouse, and Minnie Mouse or some kind of other mouse. They're also having their pastimes with their family and their security and their holiday season with their feast of cheese, if they can get it, maha, cheese. So they're also enjoying in the material world. But they have to worry about the cat. They're not worrying about an atomic war. They're not worrying about COVID-19. They're simply thinking about the cat. There's always some cat. Whatever birth you take, there's someone who's going to be opposing you. Even if you become a tiger, then people are going to try and shoot you. So, naiva kinchit karo mi yukta magnite. Only when the mind is actually absorbed in Krishna consciousness can one actually become aloof from all the problems of material existence. Bayas parshe vishaktatma vindyatmini yat sukham sabrahma yoga yuktatma sukhamakshayam ashnute. That such a person is not attracted to material sense objects or sense gratification, but is always always enjoying within. In this way, the self-realized soul enjoys unlimited happiness because he concentrates on the Supreme. Payas parshe visatakma vindatyatmini yat sukham. So, such a person is not attracted by material sense objects or material happiness, but is always absorbed within. In this way, the self-realized soul enjoys unlimited happiness because he concentrates on the Supreme. So, simple thing, just concentrate on Krishna. But we get distracted because we think, yes, I'm concentrating on Krishna. I'm not really getting such a taste from that. I wonder what this would taste like. Type it into the internet. Let me taste this for a little while. I get a little bored. Go back to the other thing now. Go surfing. Ooh, my mind is... Oh yeah, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Yeah, right. There must be some taste there in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. So our minds are being, it's like the same thing is trying to light a fire and pouring water on it. Very hard to light the fire of Krishna consciousness when the fire of sense gratification is being poured. Sense gratification means also our eyes are being attracted to things, our ears are being attracted to things, our sense of touch is being attracted to something, our sense of smell is being attracted to something, all being, let me smell this, let me taste that, let me see this, let me do that. And we're forgetting Krishna and becoming absorbed in the bodily concept of life, or the mental concept of life, or the false ego concept of life. Panaiva kinchit karomiti yukta manyate tattvavit. The one who actually knows the truth, one who tat means that which you can actually perceive, and vit means knowledge. One who actually has knowledge of Krishna by direct experience. What does he see? Well, at least the minimum he sees, not the highest realization, but the minimum. Yuktamanyate tat pashan, while seeing. Pashan shinvan, while hearing. Sparshan, by touching. Jigran, by smelling. Ashan, by eating, when he's eating. So now, first we get into the workings, the active senses, knowledge-acquiring senses. Seeing, pashan shrinvan, the ears for hearing, sprishan, the sense of touch for touching, jigran, smelling. And then ashan, the tongue for tasting. Gachan, and the legs for walking. Sprishan, shwasan, which means dreaming. So the mind, now we're into the mental platform. And then shwasan, breathing, the energetic platform. So all these things are, all right, I may not be this body, but certainly this mind is quite important. How I feel. When we say the mind is how I feel, that's why I live, to feel good. You put the frog in the water and you turn up the temperature just enough so it feels good. Never mind it's boiling to death, but it feels good. That's what counts. How you feel. Ajnanga chansvapan swasan, pralapan. Speaking, of course, we not only have to eat, we have to talk. We have to talk about how we feel. Oh, I feel terrible. Oh, I also feel terrible. I feel worse than you. No, I feel worse. I got bigger problems than you. Pralapan Vishrijan. What does Vishrijan means? Opening. Vishrijan, pralapan Vishrijan grinan, opening and closing the eyes. Pralapan Vishrijan grinan, umishani mishanapi, while evacuating, receiving, and opening and closing the eyes. Naiva kinchit karomiti yuktamanyate tatvavit pashan shrinvan srishan jigran ashnanga chansvapan svasan, pralapan Vishrijan grinan, umishani mishanapi. Indriyarndiyarteshu knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he's aloof from them. Vishrijangrinan umishana mishanapi indriyarndiyart tat vartanta iti daryan. He's meditating. Daryan, I guess, is it translated as meditation? You have that there, Ananta? Yeah, meditation. Daryan. He considers that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he's aloof from them. So imagine you get up in the morning and you get into your car called the material body when you wake up, and you just drive it around during the day. And even if someone hits your car, you don't think I've been hit. You understand my car has been hit. Someone made a dent in my body. I just have to repair it, take it to the body shop. Get a little repair done. It's all right. I'm still okay. The soul is indestructible. So that's one side. But that's just covered in different ways throughout the whole Bhagavad Gita. Many times Krishna is repeating the same thing over and over again, just like when Prabhupada became very angry at the lack of construction in the temple of Vrindavan, 1975, although he was promised that the temple was practically completed, and he invited all kinds of dignitaries to come for the opening. And when he arrived there, he found out it was just a construction site. There was nothing at all nearing completion. And therefore, it was a great embarrassment. He would have to tell the chief minister of Maharashtra and other places that there is no installation of the deities, there's no opening of the temple. And so externally he became furious. And all the devotees were hiding because he appeared to be like Nrsingadev. But when he went into his room, which was not even finished, just part of the construction site, then at that time one devotee came in fearfully to tell Prabhupada something, and Prabhupada was completely calm, as if nothing had happened. So the devotee was amazed, and Prabhupada explained that a pure devotee, externally it appears that so many things are going on, but internally he's completely aloof. It's just like on the surface of the ocean, there's so many things that are happening. There's waves, there's maybe even a cyclone, there's boats going on and off, some of the fish are surfacing, creating some disturbance. But deep inside the ocean, there's nothing really going on. There's no disturbance. Deep inside the ocean, everything is very calm. So similarly, a pure devotee, although externally so many things may be seemingly going on, but deep inside, because he's in Krishna consciousness, because he's in the spiritual world, nothing is really happening to him there, materially. It's only a land of bliss and love and consciousness. And therefore, externally, so many things can happen, but he's completely aloof, to the extent that, for instance, there was one devotee, Krishna came and he asked that devotee, "Can you give me half your body?" And the devotee, because Krishna came in the guise of a Brahmin, and asking for charity, half the devotee's body. But the devotee knew it was actually Krishna who was coming, and therefore he actually gave him half his body, which his wife and children sawed off. I mean, that's detachment. Even within other cultures, other religious traditions, there are similar stories. Like one saintly person in the Christian tradition, he was captured by the Muslims, and they decided to fry him, to put him on a plate of copper, which was heated from below and burning. So they put him on that to burn him to death. And his remark was, "I'm done on one side, why don't you turn me over?" So that's detachment. Now we are cooking and we somehow or another, we touch the pot and it's hot, then practically we call 911 for the emergency. Save me. I'm burning to death. My finger is burnt. So that's true. According to one's detachment, one will have different types of experiences in the material world. Like for instance, one time Prabhupada was coming to in 26th Avenue, 1966 or 67, Radharani was painting. And they left some thumbtacks on the floor. And Prabhupada came into his room and stepped on a thumbtack. Now generally when we step on a thumbtack, it's like we're being crucified. We let the whole world know how much suffering we're going through. But Prabhupada just picked up his foot, looked at the thumbtack and took it out and went on with his business. Now does that mean Prabhupada was, unaware? No, if you're riding in your car and your car gets hit, the car was hit. It's not that you're unaware unless you're asleep at the wheel. And then a car get hit. But you're not, especially if you're not the driver or if you're not the owner of the car, you don't care less. You got hit, but you don't really care. Now the person who owns the car, who thinks he's owned the car, he jumps out of the car and says, "You hit me, you hit me." "Sir, we didn't hit you, we hit your car." "No, you hit me." So that's our experience driving around this car, because we're so attached to the car. As I always said, the Sanskrit word for that is aham, I am car, I am the car. So we're driving around this car, and we think we're the car, and therefore we're completely absorbed in what's going to happen to the car. What happened to the car? But sooner or later, every car that we're driving around in whether it be our material car or this material bodily car, it all crashes. We shouldn't be surprised. Oh, how is it possible? I chanted my rounds every day. How is it possible this car could crash? I thought Krishna was going to protect me. No, he's trying to protect us, but we refuse to be protected. He's trying to protect us from Maya, from identifying with the car. That's his protection. And we're thinking, I don't want that protection. I want my car to be protection. I want insurance that my car is going to run forever. But there's no such insurance. Therefore, these devotees like Bali Maharaj, they show us an example of even Krishna puts one under extreme distress, like Prahlad Maharaj, the Pandavas, and others. Still, they're not disturbed at all. Nor do they blame Krishna. Just like when Bhumi the cow was being beaten, and the Bhumi was being beaten, the cow of religiosity was being beaten, and Parikshit Maharaj asked them, who did this? They wouldn't answer, because they knew ultimately Krishna is doing everything. Therefore, if they really want to get to the basis, it's Krishna who's doing it, but he's doing it to help us. He's having, just like he explains in the Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes the father, he doesn't chastise his son directly. He gives his son to a cruel chastiser, disciplinarian, in order to correct his son. He doesn't want to do that, but the son needs correction. Therefore, Krishna has given us over to Maya because we need correction. And therefore, Maya is training us how to become Krishna conscious by teaching us if we want to be in Maya, we want to identify with this body, we also have to suffer. We may try to get some enjoyment from it, but we also have to take the suffering that goes along with it. Everyone wants the enjoyment, no one wants the suffering, but they go together. They want the golden egg, but they don't want to feed the goose. You have a goose that lays the golden egg, and they think, well, someone is thinking, well, we like the part that gives the egg, but we don't like the part that we have to feed. So why don't we just cut the goose in half, and we'll just take the part that gives the golden egg, and we won't have to feed it. So in the same way, we take the material world, but we have to also take the material miseries that go along with it. And therefore, sometimes we're up, and we think, I'm never coming down. And sometimes we're down, we think, we're never coming up again. This is it. I'm dead at last. I'm completely finished. This is it. And then we get a little inspiration. Oh, I'm up, I'm riding on the clouds. I'm practicing the spiritual world. I'm here forever. I don't even need the material spiritual world, because this material world is fantastic. The birds are chirping, the flowers are blooming, it's spring and everything's nice. And I'm going to be here in this consciousness forever. And then, oh God, how did this happen? Krishna doesn't love me. No, the material world is equally meant to encourage us to do the right thing, and also equally meant to chastise us when we do the wrong thing. And of course, why am I being chastised? I did so many things good today. Well, what about yesterday? What about the day before that? What about 5 lifetimes ago? Well, that doesn't count. That was a long time ago. I can't remember. Well, Krishna remembers. You got to pay for it. You got a debt, you got to pay it, and that's it. And of course, Krishna, when you become a devotee, he's not just paying you back, he's paying you back in a way to inspire you to give it up completely. To give you some realization, it's not the right thing to do, give it up. No, but I like it. All right, go ahead. You may like it, you may do it, and you're going to have to suffer. But let me tell you, it's not a good idea. If you give it up, then I'll give you me. Well, I don't really need you right now. A little later, Krishna, come by. When things get really rough, then I'll call on you. Like that lady who was in the forest, and She was carrying a heavy bunch of sticks on her head. And then the sticks fell off her head. She tripped and the sticks fell off. And she cried out, "Govinda, save me!" So she was so sincere that Krishna, Govinda, came and said, "Yes, what can I do?" "Dear Krishna, please help me. What can I do for you?" "Put the sticks back on my head. There's no one else here in the forest to help me." "Sure, no problem. Here's the sticks." "Thank you, Krishna. I'll see you next Janmashtami." So we're thinking, yes, we have Krishna. He's so wonderful. He's so nice. They're dancing all the time. And if there's any, they can help me take care of all my problems, my life will be perfect. And when my life is not perfect, "You rascal Krishna, I was dancing so much for you. You put me in so many problems. What's wrong with you? Are you asleep? It's not even Chaturmasya yet." No, the problems were actually meant to inspire us to become more Krishna conscious, so then there won't be any more problems. We'll actually get into a world where there's no problems, back to our natural world, where we come from, where there are no such thing as any material problems. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions, comments? Naiva kinchit karomiti yukta manyate tatvavit pashan sparshan pashan shrinvan sprishan jignan ashnan gachan swapan swasan pralapan vishrijan grinan imushani minushamati indriyarndiyarteshu vartante iti daryan. Translation is that naiva kinchit self-realized. What's the first word? Person whose divine consciousness will engage in seeing and hearing and touching and smelling while going, eating and going and dreaming and breathing, always knows within himself that he does nothing at all. Because while evacuating and receiving, while opening and closing his eyes, he knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. Any questions? You can even hear him. Everything becomes so silent. You can practically hear people thinking. Any from the internet? We don't have our internet connection. Not today, okay. Yes? Did you have a question? I'm the only one who had a question, asking everyone else if they had a question.
From bhakti-yoga Tilburg. Hare Krishna Maharaj, about the body as a car. If others deliberately want to damage your car, then you should defend your car and try to stop them or not?
Should run over them. It's the only solution. Back right into them. No, it's Krishna's car. Therefore we have to take care of Krishna's car. And sometimes we have to defend Krishna's car. But as it says, in America they say, that he who hits and runs away lives to fight another day. So if possible, we should try to escape rather than get into a confrontation. But if someone tries, if inevitable, we defend the car, we defend Krishna's body. So we can use it in Krishna's service. Anything else?
Thank you. Another one. What is more important, understanding the philosophy in exactly the right way or surrendering to Krishna?
That's the right philosophy. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.
Haribol. Jai